This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk. I am your host, Brandon, and my dad joins me as my other host. And what a Christmas gift we were given. Doubleheader game. Chiefs, Steelers. The Chiefs annihilate Pittsburgh. And you're thinking, man, Baltimore, show out, baby. I mean, you have all the motivation. And boy, did they ever show out. I haven't been this pumped after a Ravens game in a long time because of the way that we just beat them. And we have all the momentum, everything going our way. And Lamar Jackson, we'll get into it, but just incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah, I'm pumped too, Brandon. It's a good Christmas present under the tree, I can tell you that. And yeah, a little disclaimer, didn't watch the game because I was at a Christmas party. Brandon was at a Christmas party, so just a little disclaimer up front, but we looked at some replays and things of that nature. And
I still watched the game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay,
the game
all right.
was on.
All right. Yeah, the game was on, but it was difficult to watch it when you're at a party. But anyway, I'll say this. It was just a pure overall beatdown on Houston. And glad to see it. Everybody did their role. They played their role. We'll get into the details. But, you know, in terms of having that momentum that Brandon just mentioned going into the last game of the season and maybe
the playoffs.
Maybe the playoffs. I mean, not maybe, but in terms of the AFC North, hopefully winning that. Just a great win, Brandon.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind we're going to finish first. You know, after this win, there's no way Cleveland's going to beat us. Pittsburgh might lose to Cincinnati for that matter too, but yeah, you know, as my dad mentioned, we were not together for this game, and I had to control my emotions, you know, acting civilized, go Ravens, you know, but inside I was amped. I mean, I would have been screaming if me and you were at home watching this game because, I mean, Lamar Jackson, let's just get into it. If I'm not big on the MVP anymore, like it was cool the first time around, he won it the second time. Now we just want a Super Bowl, right? Because we're spoiled, and I get it. But he's just that good, you know. And when I hear people still saying Josh Allen over Lamar, what is there to talk about, you know? I mean, not only does he have him in all the stats, but just look at his play and the plays that he pulls off. Yeah. I mean, running around in the backfield to that Mark Andrews play, you know, and it was just amazing. Overall, I just couldn't believe how good this guy really is.
Yeah, we take it for granted, I think. And you know, speaking of Josh, just had a news feed that he has broke his left hand. So that's going to be an interesting scenario with Buffalo. But in terms of Lamar, like I just, what are you going to say? There's not enough acclimates to talk about at this point with him and what he can do. And I'm loving his decision making. I'm loving him running the ball like he used to run 2 or 3 years ago. And he's just incredible.
Yeah, that 48-yard run was like Lamar back in the day.
Back in the day.
You know? And, you know, it was the Mark Andrews play. It was the Isaiah Likely play. And like you said, I'm not taking this for granted because when I was born into the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed era, Terrell Suggs. And I just, as a kid and growing up, I just always was like, this is how it's always going to be, you know? Good defenses, Hall of Famers, and then we went through a period after Ray where that leadership was kind of, you saw the impact of it when he was gone. Yeah. And I took it for granted as a kid. And, you know, as I'm driving home after that game, I'm thinking, I can't take these years of Lamar for granted because I can confidently say, I honestly believe I will never see a quarterback as good or better than Lamar in a Ravens jersey. I think he's that good and that talented. And we just have to soak up these years with Lamar because it's going to be hard to watch any quarterback after him. I mean, I know people are going to be like, oh, you're glazing but no, he really is special. He already surpassed Michael Vick and Cam Newton for that matter too in rushing yards. And Lamar's got what, 6-7 years left in his career?
Yeah.
I mean, think about the amount of yards he's going to rack up at that position. to already pass Michael Vick, and he's still in his prime and has like 4 more years left to go in his prime years of his career.
Yeah, you make a great point. And the thing about it is every NFL team and every NFL fan knows that the number one position is the quarterback.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that star quarterback that has that special it factor.
Like last night watching Geno Smith.
Yeah.
So
a mediocre quarterback.
It's like, you're not, you can only get so far.
Yeah. I mean, 3-3, 6-3, whatever that end of
Yeah.
the game was. And here we have a dynamic quarterback that you can't take for granted. And so we went through those years with quarterback after quarterback, year after year, until he came along. No, Flacco, of course. Yeah, he had his moments, he had his years. But now with such a dynamic and a unique quarterback that teams have to scheme for, that's what's so great to be a fan with the Ravens.
Well, you know what? To slightly go against what you said is he's so unique, you can't scheme for him.
Well, you try. I'm saying
I know,
they try.
of course you try, but it's like,
Yeah.
for instance, like with a mobile quarterback, when leading into the game, you can stick like a Justin Fields back there if you're Pittsburgh to mimic him, right? Yeah. Leading into the game. But Lamar he's a unicorn. He's one of one. Yeah. So, you can scheme for him, but it's different when it hits the field. And so many times I've heard players say, especially players that are in the NFC, like, I knew he was fast, but when I actually played him for the first time, he's faster than I imagined. It's just like a eye pop to these players when you're actually going against him.
He's fast, he's elusive, he's the whole package too, and he can throw. Think about that. The last quarterback, it's so funny that he broke Michael Vick's record, because the last quarterback that we watched together when you were a little kid was Michael Vick, and how scary he was, because you never knew if he was going to run or pass.
He had a huge arm too.
Yeah.
A huge arm, which people don't talk about a lot, but all praise to Lamar's mom. I mean, after that news came out, he just became
a different person,
a different beast, and he was probably like, you know what, you're right. I got to because she watched him his whole life. She knows what he's capable of, and even he's capable of the same things at the highest level.
And I believe she was also trying to say to him, take over the game when you need to take over the game.
That's basically what she was
right.
saying. Yeah.
So don't be timid. You know your talent. So
at some point, like, yes, it's about X's and O's, but at some point, you just got to be like,
he was trying to be a team.
I'm the man.
Yeah, he wanted to be a team player.
I have the ability to take over, like LeBron says in his prime, or Kobe, Sometimes I just got to be like, hey, coach, I respect you and love you, but I can just do this on my own because I'm just that good.
I mean, and I remember when they were trying to make him a pocket passer, just staying in the pocket. And that just decreases the abilities that God gave him, to scramble, to run. You're limiting him, and that's probably his quarterback coach. I
saw a wonderful video I meant to show you, and it was all his critics. You can only run so far at that position. This is him, as he's getting drafted. That woman saying, I like my quarterbacks quarterbacky. Colin Cowherd was like, he's not Josh Rosen, and someone else he mentioned that didn't pan out. And Josh Rosen he's like done in the NFL. And it's just so amazing. He's defied all odds, and not just defied it. He's kicked the door in, smashed it, pummeled it. And the icing on the cake will be a Super Bowl.
They were saying he's a running back. He's not a quarterback. He can't pass the ball.
It was so bad. They were like, he's got to switch positions.
Yeah.
They were saying that, know?
Yeah.
Another thing, Derrick Henry, 27 carries, 147 yards, average 5.4 yards a carry. I said this that night to myself driving home. It feels illegal to have Lamar and Derrick on the same team. Yeah. It just feels illegal. The fact that this guy was up for grabs is just insanity to me. And what a perfect fit. This might be the best free agent signing in Ravens history.
I can't agree more. And right out of the gate, the first run, 6, 7, 8 yards. Yep. And they fed the beast as they should. And finally, Todd, thank you, Todd. You stuck to the game plan, and when you're gashing another team like he was, stick with it. And all game they did it too, from beginning to end. So that gives me hope. That they're going to stick to Ravens ball, stick to our game plan, our scheme, and we finally have an identity with Henry.
And throughout the year, it's funny you mentioned that, like, we would win games different types of ways. There was some games we would totally like abandon the run, and it felt like this team was trying to find their identity. You know, they were winning games, but it wasn't like we are just solely a running team. But this game, like, it shows you the run opens up so much with this team. And now that they have Lamar and they have emphasized him running more, this is our identity. We can beat you with the throwing game, but we are a run-first team. And I just love to see it. I love to see it. And that's when you have the miraculous Mark Andrews coming out, and Zay had a few catches, and that's just Ravens ball right there, you know?
Yeah, and I was worried about Justice Hill being out of the game for that position, but Mitchell came in and he he did a decent job in his place. So
he had some really nice runs later in the game.
So players stepped up when they needed to for injury, because at this time of the year you're going to have injuries like that, and hope to get Justice back for the last game. And if not, I don't think that's totally.
I would rest him.
Maybe rest him. Yeah.
I would rest him another week and then see how he is going into the wild card. Wild card game. To switch sides, I thought the moment of the game, right? Derrick Henry, really his first mistake all year. He took a bad angle going sideline, in the back of the end zone. They get the safety. And they get the ball back. They're trotting down. Marlon gets a BS pass interference call to keep them alive on 4th and 3. Then at the goal line on 3rd down, he times it perfectly, bats the ball down. And I'm watching the TV and I'm going, go for it. Because if they don't get it, all momentum's lost, and you can just basically wrap this thing up, right?
Yep.
And thankfully they didn't, because if they kick the field goal, it's 10-5, an odd score because of the safety. And they go for it, and the play of the game, Ardarius. I mean, not the play of the game, but the moment of the game that really solidified it, the turning point, was Ardarius Washington stuffing Joe Mixon at the goal line, and White cleaned it up at the end. But this kid,
what a pickup!
3 weeks in a row, he's made huge plays.
Yeah, and while Marcus is whatever he's doing, right?
Exactly.
So, oh my gosh, I can't agree with you more. Almost to play the game, one of them.
Yeah, Lamar was you just had to give it to one of those Lamars, but that was like probably the biggest play on defense.
I mean, that's a good problem to have. Who do you say was the MVP of the game? Because Derrick Henry, Lamar,
true,
Washington. And Kyle Hamilton. Speaking of a momentum change, that interception he had was unbelievable.
He needed that to make up for the easy one against Cleveland.
Exactly.
So he said, let me catch the hardest ball possible.
Full layout, under cold conditions. It was just...
Well, they're in a dome.
But it's still cold. It was cold. And, What a catch! What else can you say? That changed the whole momentum in terms of that was it. Game over. After that interception, the way we were playing. So kudos to him. I can't say enough about this kid. He's a hard hitter. He's smart. He's fast. He's lengthy on defense, and he's coming into his own. He's one of the defensive captains, and he's showing it and proving it. And he's very durable. He very rarely gets hurt. What else can you say? That's his job, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, I also want to highlight, because I actually forgot this last week, but in terms of our highlighted videos that we do. But, we had 5 sacks on C.J. Stroud, Kyle Van Noy again. I never would have thought Kyle Van Noy would have the year he had because of his age, because we lost Clowney and Queen, and he's having arguably a better year. Another sack again this game. Matabike had a sack. Odafe Owe had a sack. Owe, he silently has had one of his best years with 9 sacks on the year, tied for 13th in the league. Chris Board had a sack, and Roquan. So we're getting pressure on the quarterback, and some games we don't get the sack, but we have a lot of pressure. But this game we were doing both, and you just feeling good going in. I mean, we are clicking at the right time compared to a Pittsburgh, for instance. And you just mentioned Josh Allen with that broken hand. Let's see how he reacts with that. To their to their luck, it's not his throwing hand, but still, you don't want to hear that news entering the playoffs. So I just feel really pumped. I feel really good about this team, and I think now's the time you got to click, and they are definitely clicking.
Yeah, and what that pressure does, Brandon, is it took CJ right out of his game, and he just had an off game too. You could see it. His passes were off.
They have a bad offensive line too.
So, yeah, but man, you can see what pressure does to a quarterback. And, CJ was getting all the props and credit last year, and he was going to have this fantastic year, and it has been good. But you see when he plays a good team like the Ravens and what pressure can do to any quarterback, and we need to keep that up.
Yep, can't agree with you more. I also think, too, like the horrific Tank Dell injury. He tore his LCL, PCL, I think ACL. I mean, his leg, you talk about like a Alex Smith probably situation. I just read today he might miss all of next year. So when you have an injury like that on a key player, it kind of depletes the team, too. Yeah. So prayers to him. But, that's all I have to say this game. I was just totally blown away. This win felt a lot better because of the Pittsburgh loss and watching them lose by 19 points. Yeah. And we just, if you're saying that wasn't motivation for this team, you're lying because they definitely knew the outcome of that game and they were like, let's just go out and play Ravens ball and kick their butts.
And we needed it so bad on that short week, back-to-back games. So now
back-to-back.
Exactly. So, the Chiefs had to do it. Pittsburgh had to do it. However, now we get to rest, and we had limited injuries, which is another good thing. We don't talk about it a lot because some of these years we've had decimated injuries.
The past years we've always talked about injuries, and this year, thankfully, we haven't had to talk about that too much.
Cross our fingers and that it remains like that going into the playoffs. Yep. And, so great Christmas, pumped up like you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Now we can sit back and watch all the games, and let the Ravens rest and heal and get going after Cleveland.
And finally, our fate is in our hands, right? We got the help that we always say we never get help outside our division. Yep. The almighty Patrick Mahomes came through for us, thankfully, and now it rests in our hands, and it's a great feeling, especially after the games that we dropped throughout this year that we shouldn't have. There's no better team to sneak in at the back door and just upset than Pittsburgh late in the season. So very excited about that. Thank you for all the support still. We getting a lot of comments, and this has just been a great year so far. This is the last time you'll hear from us in 2024. And we got one more game and then the playoffs. So this could be the beginning of a historical run for this team.
Yeah, I can add to that, Brandon, is happy holidays to everybody.
Yep.
And be safe and be blessed.
Yep. Still Merry Christmas, even though it's past Christmas, and Happy New Year. And you guys will be hearing us in 2025. So let's go Ravens. Let's keep this train on the tracks. And boy, this is exciting. Now
let's sit back and enjoy. Brandon.
This is an exciting part of the year for sure. Yep. For sure. So tune in on January 5th when we play the Cleveland Browns.